Welcome back, folks. I'm just covering off another little video of what I've been up to on the tools this week. If you haven't covered off any of my videos before, folks, I've been in the cloud industry now just over 4.5 years, and I'm currently in Azure, previously AWS. Currently in Azure about 1 year and 3 months now, folks. I'm a cloud engineer. I do cover off a lot of stuff in the cloud. I'm learning a lot, so I just say pretty much yes to any new technology when it props up at work, so I can get my hands on it and basically make a decision about whether I like it or whether I don't. I'm currently supporting a lot of releases, folks, and they're built with Azure DevOps pipelines, hence this video here that you can see on the screen. I do lean on GitHub Actions as well. And I just wanted to share this little video here, folks. This was created by Tech World with Nana. If you wanted to give her a like and follow, I do lean heavily on her channel, especially for quick heads up, folks. And that's what this little video was about. If you wanted to get a high level overview of Azure DevOps and the different tools within it, then in 30 minutes, there was definitely a few questions I got answered there that I just wasn't clear on. Because yes, I have done some work on Azure DevOps recently, but there were just a couple of things I wanted to find out about releases and pipelines. So I watched that video, and then this morning I complemented it with this video. This isn't Nana, but she jumped on with the person who owns this channel, DevOps on Azure, and actually I'm going to give them a subscribe because that was pretty good. So it was the Azure pipelines part of it, especially. It's a bit of a deep dive into it, and it complemented the other video. And I just wanted the question answered, folks, about whether you can do releases in Azure pipelines, because Azure DevOps also has a releases part as well. Falls under one of these other headings. I believe it's the Azure artifacts, and to be honest, it complicates things. I've seen it prop up at my organization, and I just wasn't sure about how it was all put together. It was a bit more of a like guess what the last person did, type thing, rather than actually knowing. So you can do the pipeline, the CI and the CD bit all together in the Azure pipelines, folks, which was actually really good. So if you watch this video from about 48 minutes on, I think it was about a half hour, or actually nearly an hour there. So yeah, there's a good bit of in-depth stuff there. It'll show you end to end about deploying to different environments as well, folks, dev and production and test. Really good. Watch that little video when you get the chance there. You can actually follow along and build things out in your own Azure DevOps subscription, folks, if you've got that set up. But that's what I was up to. On top of this here, folks, this week, my main body of work was around Cosmos DB, and over the break as well at work, I did work over the Christmas period, folks. I was building out the policies that obviously govern how the Cosmos DB resources get spun up at the organization. So I didn't build out these, folks. I deployed them via an initiative or policy set, and I just gave it the parameters with regards to the effects that they need and at the actual scope that it need to be deployed at, which was management group. And just watch what it did to the different resources, folks. On top of that, I actually span up my own Cosmos DB resources. I'll just bring it up there. I've actually only got one deployed at the minute because there's a little lesson I want to show you about what not to do, but it's a learning curve. So I've just got one span up here, folks, and I did have quite a few different flavors span up. One of those is Cassandra clusters, and that was just needed so I can actually see what the policy was going to do to it. But I should have destroyed it straight away. I left it on for about 12 hours and it eliminated $70 of my $80 for the month of my subscription budget. So I'm down to $10. I had to frantically kill that off as soon as I seen it the next morning. Just point to note on your cost analysis, folks, it doesn't kick in sometimes until the resources have been up a couple of hours, I've found, especially with this one. And yeah, it nearly killed off my whole subscription. If it does, it actually prevents you from creating anything more in this one that I have from my organization. So $10, I'll have to just be careful about how I play with that for the remainder of the month up until February the 5th, where I get another $80. But like I said, I'm just sharing it with you guys because I did start playing around in my own personal Azure subscription after this. And yeah, I'm definitely treading around there very, very carefully about with what I deploy. Okay. What I did find about Cosmos DB as well, folks, I thought I would have had that wrapped up in a couple of weeks. It's actually got a study guide. There's a certification behind the thing, and as soon as I seen that yesterday, it kind of took a bit of pressure off me. So it did, because there's a certification that supports this here. It's not going. I said at the start, I'll have this rattled off in about 3 weeks. What I'm doing is designing the policy for it, and I'm also creating a guide to onboard the Azure provider for Cosmos DB. But to be honest, this is probably going to take me a month or more, because there's a lot of different flavors of Azure Cosmos DB, and the certification guide, it's good. I actually found it because it gives you a lot of things that Cosmos DB integrates with, which will help me with onboarding the provider. So I'll go through this here next week. I've got a lot of the documentation already done at work, but now that I know it's got a certification, it kind of gives me a bit of leverage to say, hey, maybe there's a few people needs to get across this here, or we just need to break the story down into a few more bits and pieces and chunk it up a bit. But yeah, that's what I found. So that's what I've been up to for the last couple of weeks, folks. Cosmos DB. It's a brand new thing to me. Like I said, in the cloud industry, you'll get introduced to a lot of new resources, folks. Things change. You just got to be able to learn on the fly, which is what I've been doing. And I've been doing a lot of research, hence the reason I stumbled across this. And it's just the way of the world, folks. Okay. The other thing I've been up to as well is I've just been playing around with GitHub Actions. This is my personal subscription. I've just spun up a few different environments here. They're in the subscriptions with the appropriate names, dev, production. I've got a back-end subscription as well for state. And what I've been doing is, folks, just creating some GitHub Actions. So in here in this repo, I've got the dev folder and the prod folder to reflect those environments, and I've just been spinning up a module here to create a resource group. There'll be no charge for that because I know it's going into my own personal subscriptions, but I just wanted to actually get the process of deploying this across different environments in my head again, because I've been working in Azure DevOps. I kind of got a bit of skill fade, so that's all I was working in that for. So those were just to give you a heads up, folks, the prod, GitHub Actions, the parameters and what have you are calling a reusable workflow. The dev one as well. I actually had the same workflow set up in the same repo, but I thought I would just deploy it across in another repo just because that's the good practice thing to do, folks, so anybody can use that reusable workflow. So if we just pull the other one in, this is the reusable workflow, and I just called the repository main reusable workflow, and I've got the parameters being passed in here as inputs from those other ones from the other repo. Here all these parameters are getting passed in, and then they're being harnessed in these inputs, and then the plan and obviously the apply workflow here, folks, are a little bit more of an enriched experience. It's some stuff I've learned at my organization, but they're pretty much aligned with what you will get as a guide I've shared with you before in previous videos, to deploy workflows using Terraform and GitHub Actions, folks. So yeah, that's what I've been up to as well, just some learning in the background. And folks, you should allocate yourself, like if it's a good workplace, they'll give you time, a couple of hours in the week. Friday afternoon's a good guide. You don't want to be deploying any brand new things to production and getting issues that might happen over the weekend. So yeah, give yourself an hour or two on a Friday to learn something new as well, folks. It's well worth it, and it allows you to get your thoughts gathered as well for Monday when you can hit the ground running again. But yeah, that's what I've been up to, folks. I just thought I'd share that out there. Probably not a all singing and dancing thing that you wanted to see. Maybe some weeks are different than others. There's a lot of doco heavy stuff I've been doing this week, but that's the way of the world, folks. You will have to soak up creating some documentation. I haven't got the documentation to show you here because it's to my organization, so for their eyes only. But it was created in Confluence. If you used Confluence before, folks, it's just I would say similar to Microsoft bloody Word with a few enriched features in it there, folks, that are native to, Atlassian, and it couples up with Jira for your sprints, Kanban boards. But yeah, any questions, folks, at all? I've rambled around a few bits and pieces there, but that's what I've been up to this past week. And yeah, it's always good to collaborate and ask questions. But as always, I'll leave this one with you, and I'll wish you all the best. Take care and good luck.